So a lot of people just chimed in, and I forgot that I saw a post having to do with two characters that starred in Lord of the Rings. One's Viggo Mortensen, and the other's what, Carl Urban or Yerbin or however you pronounce it. Viggo is wearing a hat, and it has the symbol of what most people confuse with or assume means peace. So I thought I'd teach people something, but I think 4 people have whined at me so far. 4 superficial fucking retards who didn't choose to fucking read the words on the screen and think about them. Instead, one of the kids said something that you might already, see coming. He said, yap, yap, yap. Because I didn't leave an emoji on there. I also didn't just give him something really fucking neat in less than a sentence to repeat. People are fucking stupid. And stuff like this should terrify you. The first one says, I think it's the first one. No, well, yeah, it was 10 minutes ago. Okay, bye. Somebody else, no one asked. And I could give a fuck whether or not they did, which they didn't. But I don't know what this other jazz means. Get the fuck out, probably. But this kid's so fucking stupid that he took the time and energy to talk at me, not spell his words, and not fucking think about what I left on there. The best part is how does this fucking offend people? I'm pointing out something that does reflect reality. It's a fallacy that most people are dumb enough to fucking repeat. And these kids are whining at me. As if I did something wrong. That should fucking terrify you. I mean, these are the angry villagers at the door. These are fucking morons. Retards. They are fucking retarded. They are so hopelessly dumb that they are the problem. And they are a goddamn threat. As a whole. And most people probably won't see it that way. Oh, what else do we got here? Couldn't spell the first word, though. No, it was designed by, Jesus fucking Christ, Gerald Holtman in 1958 to act as a symbol of nuclear disarmament, and its combined symbol, N and D, you guys can read the rest of this shit if you really want to. You'll also find other bullshit stories having to do with quote-unquote peace related to Woodstock, and it supposedly came from olive oil. There's a cover story that people repeat having to do with that too. And it's laughable. It's fucking laughable. This is priceless. It's priceless. Another way you guys could consider what I'm saying. How many things in the programming have a giant fucking V associated with them? Yeah? How many celebrities have you seen wearing a V necklace or V jewelry? It's because they're part of a club. And you and I aren't supposed to understand this shit. There are deeper roots to this, mind you, all of which have to do with what we're living through currently. I posted something having to do with Mrs. Doubtfire the other night, I think yesterday. And it's me poking fun at it, but that shit is propaganda and it's related to this. But people aren't very bright, so they don't understand these things. They do not understand these things. The symbolism in question and the corruption of this crap it predates 1958. That's the bottom line. That's why I laughed when I read what this guy started crapping out. Or what he crapped out, pardon me, past tense. Things like this are ridiculous. Here's the post, mind you. And all I saw was this, and I laughed at first because I could give a fuck about this stuff too. But that's what I'm referring to. If I'm not mistaken, you probably know another version of this, which I don't think I've pointed out. You picking up what I'm fucking putting down? This is quite a coincidence. But what the fuck do I know? Just to spell it out for you, this is what that kid's rattling off. Because pseudo-intellectuals will quite literally fucking rattle off anything. Because they don't look into things, they buy into things. And in this case, it's one of the biggest reasons why people have Google, which is a tool of propaganda, at their disposal. So this thing can spoon feed you ridiculous shit in a number of cases, and people will repeat it. And they won't dig any deeper than that, mind you. And the way things are going, people won't compare and contrast this against any other fucking subject whatsoever, because that's hard. And thinking is hard. Either way, what the fuck do I know? I bet you if I didn't highlight this, you guys probably wouldn't spot the other propaganda in here. Oh, look, it's the flat earth. Oh, look, it's the globe theory. This reaffirms both of those. And it's fucking nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. And every time I complain about something like this, I consider teaching you guys something cool. A deeper root having to do with this jazz. But most people aren't fucking seeing what I leave online. Most people don't give a fuck. Most people aren't putting in the time. Most people would probably just buy into this and repeat what that other kid said. I mean, case in point again, how are all of these kids conducting themselves? I mean, it's carbon copies. And this thing I thought had more comments on there. Now there's that. Yeah, and it didn't do it. Either way, maybe that's all of them. 1, 2. Thought there was 4 a minute ago, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, thanks for hanging out. You do see what I see, do you not? According to historical claims, the Cross of Nero symbol, often associated with the peace sign, is said to date back to the region of Roman Emperor Nero, 68 AD, meaning it would be around 2,000 years old. However, this association is widely disputed by historians and modern peace symbol. I read that wrong. This association is widely disputed by historians, and the modern peace symbol was actually designed in 1958 by Gerald Fuckall. And people repeat this. Hence, pseudo-intellectuals. They're pseudo-intellectuals. You want another example? The demiurge, the chicken foot. How old is the symbol? If it will pop up, it may not, based on how I just did that. It's got a bunch of other names. It's that. And keep in mind, this is a new rendition of it. It looks like somebody used it as a logo. But it's one of the many symbols of the fucking demiurge as well, just so you guys know. And you guys can look this up. You can try to find it. I'm not going to bother with it right now because it didn't generate shit. But that's the gist of it. Feel free to go fish. Most people probably won't see this or care and or do that. But it's also a great deal older than 1958. Here's a meme, which you probably wouldn't want to trust. You never know with these things. You never know. Just the same, you could take a screenshot and read it if you want. There's also a bunch of propaganda having to do with some of this shit too. When people start tossing around Antichrist. Either way. You do see what it says, right? It is fully appropriate that the symbol on the left is based on the death rune. You still with me? I rattled off in terms of keywords. What is the symbol for the end of man? And this is a superficial search, mind you. But now these two have been flipped, and you see what I just rattled off having to do with the death rune. If I'm not mistaken, he mentioned that. Did he not? Here, I'll just read it. No. It was designed by Gerald Fuckall in 1958 to act as symbol for nuclear disarmament. And it's the combines symbol of N and D in Sim4 alphabet. There's no proof or direct link between the ND... Jesus Christ, symbol or any other thing such as alleged Nero Cross, which actually seems to be an urban legend as opposed to a real historical symbol, or the YR rune, or anything else. But they happen to be identical to these age-old symbols. But you're supposed to disregard that because something in 1958 claims otherwise. You still with me, you guys? You and I are surrounded by fucking retards. Retards! It's a little hard to refute when you think about the age of this shit, too. But I mean, that guy must be right. I must be wrong. It was definitely cooked up in 1958. It doesn't have any deeper roots either. It doesn't have any deeper meanings. I mean, at all. I mean, it has nothing to do with the Bluetooth sigil whatsoever. It's a coincidence that this has some of the same legs in it, mind you, is what we're discussing. Just a fucking coincidence. It's just part of your phone. It's just another symbol that our masters use and have incorporated into modern this, that, and the other thing. You should definitely disregard that. It just so happens to also resemble, do you see the sigil on the upper right for settings? It's a 6-pointed star. That's also just a coincidence. But because it has all those legs on there, obviously it has nothing to do with what we're discussing right now. Nothing whatsoever. Do you see the little JPEG that I use for, I guess this is one of the Google accounts that I'm logged into. It's the compass and the square. It has nothing to do with that either. And neither does the Dan Brown propaganda. You know, having to do with the blade and the chalice. Nothing. This is definitely something that has to do with nuclear fuck all and Gerald in 1958. On and off, I've tried this as well, even though for the most part I think I'm censored and people don't see all these things. Here. And that's if this works. I just talked at my fucking phone. I responded to, was it Jar Retard? And I told him, tell you what, retard, I just recorded a video and I'm going to leave it on the internet. If you take the time to find it, feel free to think about what was said. Thanks for pointing out that you are a pseudo-intellectual who will quite literally repeat any superficial slop if it's spoon-fed to him. And there should be commas in there. And maybe I should have said on the DARPA internet. Either way. Unfortunately, you're misleading others and your steep learning curve is noted. And I'm sure he'll probably fucking react. Ooh. Let's do this too. And it won't capitalize emojis, most likely. Emojis were written into the algorithm to dumb people down. Period. It's sad when that kid's, this kid's image for his little profile is a Rubik's Cube, but he's dumb enough to fucking use emojis. It's ironic. This will probably get flagged. Let's do this. I was trying to think of something clever. I was going to ask him what rhymes with runt, but he probably won't figure that out. Oh yeah, I'll just do this. You are a soggy, whining quim. Cheers. Just to be courteous and write everybody back, right? But like I said, I thought there was 4 of them. All right, thanks for hanging out. You and I are surrounded by extremely stupid fucking people. And you need to hear it plain and simple. That's what it is. They're fucking retards. That's why things are bad. It's why things are getting worse. And they pat each other on the ass and they assume they're doing a good job. Simple as that. So here's another fucking Muppet. He said, setting aside all of your BS, What have I rattled off in here that is BS? What is bullshit? I'm pointing to things that aren't superficial. I'm pointing to multiple fucking things that reaffirm what I'm driving at. Plus, if he read the other comments, which he probably won't, he could find the video that I'm uploading to the internet and he could watch it. But I didn't tell him which channel, I didn't tell him where to go, and most people aren't going to do that. The simple way they do it, I mean, they could have clicked on the fucking profile, and I'm pretty sure it's still in the links there, and it would take you to fucking YouTube. That might be the one that I'm currently blocked on, but they could still fucking figure it out. They could use my moniker and figure this out. But people don't. They won't. They're superficial. Either way, back to point. He said, setting aside all of your BS, the important thing is the intent of the wearer. Now, I want you to think about disharmonious shit. This is just as good as, say you want to be healthy, right? Say you don't want to die and you want to be healthy. But all you eat is junk food. All you eat, you're drinking Coca-Cola every single fucking day, and you're living on gummy bears. You smoke packs of cigarettes, and you drink a shit ton of fucking vodka every single day. You eat a bunch of fucking fast food, but your intent is to be the healthiest fucking person on this rock. How fucking healthy do you think you're really going to be? It's the same difference. If you're carrying around a bunch of corrupted fucking crap, it's going to negatively impact you, so to speak. That's why these things are in place. And shit you not, but people don't believe in these things. People don't understand these things. That's why they don't consider these things. If you look at damn near anything, and I've pointed this out one too many fucking times, the USDA sigil is quite literally the symbol of death, theta. And it's branded on the food, especially the organic food. And that's by design, not coincidence. But most people would probably say, well, that's technically not the symbol of theta, based on, there's a Google search that says that's not true. And or Snopes or some other garbage. And people will repeat it because that's what's being circulated. If you think about things and you call upon logic and you start to reason shit out using that brain between your ears, it flies in the face of what most people repeat. Flies in the face of fucking logic if you fucking think about it. But most people don't. Another fun one, since we are talking about this stuff, and let me see, I just got some orange juice the other day. I think it's got more stars on it than that, though. Now, it's got the seal of Melchizedek on the bottom of my orange juice. If you look at drink containers, especially the plastic ones, they're typically branded on the bottom with a star. I've got some green juice from Trader Joe's, and it's only got a 4-pointed star on the bottom. And some of you might say, well, that's just how they're making the bottles. It's part of the mold. Believe what you will. Believe what you will. I got another thing of orange juice from Trader Joe's, and it does have a 6-pointed star on there. And in case you don't know what I'm driving at, I am referring to the same shit that I'm discussing in this video. I'm trying not... There are deeper roots, like I said earlier, and I keep digressing because I don't want to leave it on the internet. I don't want to teach a bunch of fucking retards this stuff. Because most people aren't cooking with fire. That's a pun, by the way, based on what we're discussing, if you can connect the fucking dots, and most of you probably can't. In other words, I just told you something. But most people who do sit through this will probably be like, I don't know what it is, you didn't tell me. I don't know. Because you and I are surrounded by fucking retards. So here's this guy. Morden wore the symbol because he wanted to highlight nuclear disarmament, and so he chose the symbol that is recognized through the world to show that. He's talking about Viggo Mortensen, not Morton, by the way. Just so you guys know. Some of you might know, I think Viggo Mortensen's pretty neat, but he does work for Hollywood, which means you can't trust him. You can't trust him. I think he's neat because in many ways he is by definition an everyman. And I admire that. That aspect of his character. And I do think he has some character. I do. But he's still part of the club. So That's tricky. It's really tricky. He signed a contract, which means you can't trust him. Either way. So he said, all of which makes your little story moot. And it's a little story. And it's BS. And it's all these things that these kids keep assuming. Because I am not singing the same song in goddamn praise as all of these pseudo-intellectual fucking retards. This is ironic what I say next. If you thought about what I left in here. And keep in mind, I didn't spell it all out in a very, very clean format. I didn't. But if you were capable of thinking about what I did present you with, a number of points you could string together and connect the fucking dots if you did that. Does it terrify you that most people can't? It should. Isn't that upsetting? Isn't that downright unnerving that most people cannot fucking connect the dots on their own? Which means they're susceptible to falling in line and repeating whatever everybody else agrees on based on what's socially digestible, what's socially acceptable, what's spoon-fed to them on a large scale because it's well-financed and well-circulated, which means it's, typically speaking, normalized. It's echoed. It's repeated. It's programming. Typically speaking, these are false fucking narratives. They're phony narratives. It's the official narrative, as I usually refer to it as, or think in terms of it. And it's hogwash. It's shit. But most people will reaffirm the message. They don't get it, but they'll reaffirm it. It should fucking terrify you. But you'd have to think about these things to appreciate what I'm driving at. I think I ditched it. A couple other people whined at me, and I think I think one of them I just deleted too. I think one of the last ones I deleted. I kept one on there in case I wanted to go back to that feed and whine at people a little bit more. Not that I should, but sometimes it's cathartic. But what did the other kid tell me? He wrote me once and he essentially said that he didn't think it meant a fucking thing. And he told me to go touch grass because that's what kids repeat these days. And so I told him one of my numerous canned responses, and I'm pretty sure I called him a retard because he's acting like one. And then he told me that there's something wrong with my head. He thinks that I'm not all right and some other garbage. Again, he could have taken the time to think about what I said. Because what I said, if you connect those dots and all the other stuff I've already rattled off, it does lead somewhere. And it does connect to all this other shit that I highlighted in here, that I took time and energy to string together for you guys. Ooh. But you don't hear people talking about these things because people don't get it. And like I said, I don't think I've ever pointed that one out to you guys before, because there's a lot that I think about, some of which I've cataloged. And usually I don't dish a lot of aspects to these numerous things that I rattle off online up in this format. Because I'm keeping things. I'm gatekeeping, as the kids might say. Because you don't find this stuff out there, typically speaking. And all I'm referring to in this case, for the most part, is the chicken foot and the Atari sigil. Which is me just throwing you more dots that still connect and reaffirm what I'm talking about and fly in the fucking face of the 1958 was the year, right? That other fucking Muppet babbled about. In other words, every single example that I rattled off predates what that superficial fuck whined at me about. And assumed held water somehow because Google and other things will tell you, oh yeah, that other stuff, just ignore that stuff. It's like the moment in The Wizard of Oz. Ignore the man behind the curtain. And the numerous other examples having to do with shit like that. And what do you see in the programming? Somebody doing something that is not above board. And it's in the programming often if you're paying attention. This is one of the more popular examples. But one more time, what the fuck do I know? This is what you'll keep encountering. I mean, this kid just wrote me back again. He reacted again. Ah, yes, the very well recorded history is slop. Make 1,000 videos if you want, it won't make what you said any more true. And he's talking about this recorded history. What I'm referring to predates 1958, and that's essentially what I told him. Because this kid is a pseudo-intellectual fucking retard. He's not thinking about what's fucking going on. Maybe he looked into the superficial shit a while back. I don't know. These are assumptions. Maybe he just performed a superficial Google search and this is what it told him and that's what he's repeating. I have no idea. But this is how most people conduct themselves. They do not sift past the superficial surface. They don't delve deep. And they will quite literally repeat anything if it's well financed and well circulated. Because they're lazy and stupid and, like I keep saying, fucking retarded. What the fuck do I know? You know, I'm gonna throw you another bone. And this jazz roughly dates to, I think, 1970. Something, 1978 or something like that. Either way. But in particular, I want you to appreciate this word being associated with it. Because it speaks to another aspect of this, because this is all under the same fucking agenda, the same umbrella, if you will. And I didn't spell it all out in this video. You could figure it out, but you'd have to think about it. And some of you will say, oh, those were just aesthetic designs, blah, 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 you know, or aesthetic or aesthetic. I never say it right, but you guys know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Hopefully. It's not what you usually see associated with this. But lo and behold, if you were to Google it, you would find this. The Atari symbol often features a rainbow because it was a design choice by the company's first artist, George Opperman, who intended the rainbow effect to represent the vibrant colors and dynamic nature of video games, particularly considering Atari's early success with the color-based game Pong. And just the same, make of it what you will, what the fuck do I know? I keep stressing that we live in patently fascist times of censorship. And part of what I'm driving at with all of this is, for fuck's sake, you cannot Google the symbol of peace. You can't do it. You're not going to find the answer. I keep stressing Google is a tool of propaganda. That should fuck you up. That should really mess with you. The fact that these things are not readily available in the age of, supposedly, information and all that other garbage. Oh my God. It's pretty funny multitasking at the moment. Let me see if I have that other stuff sitting around here. It acts as a visual aid. Not this. But again, if people just think about these things. I leave stuff online. I mean, I've left stuff in print too. But typically speaking, if somebody runs across one of these things, what do? They react. They don't sit with the information for an hour. They don't sit with the information for a fucking day. They don't go looking for deeper roots to try to figure out why in the fuck I said this in the first place. I don't think what I've been leaving online and speaking to over the years, it all sounds crazy at all, but then again, that's what somebody who's crazy would say. I really don't think it is. I think it sounds pretty straightforward. When you work with it, point for fucking point. A lot of my deliveries these days are lazier than they used to be, at least I think they are. But just the same, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, these kids are just fucking reacting. Oh no, I got this, or I'll Google it, and I'll tell him the first fucking thing Google tells me. And that's what I swear a lot of these kids are doing. I just took a shower, and I was thinking about one too many things. Before we get into that, I want you to think about hashtags. I want you to think about the stop sign. I want you to think about that symbol, for settings in your phone. It's very similar, and it does have to do with this. And a number of other examples. But think of all these modern day examples. They are based on something that is far older. It's almost as good as, and this is another way to put this, take the stop sign and take the tic-tac-toe pound symbol hashtag, all the same thing, and for some reason we just keep using it. Doesn't mean anything, but we keep using it. And I understand nobody refuted that in this one. But it's almost as good as people saying that the stop sign and the hashtag, is not similar. It's not similar, and neither of them have anything to do with the other. But it's also almost as good as saying, well, these are both a coincidence. It's a coincidence that there's a stop sign, and it's a coincidence that, there's tic-tac-toe, pound symbol, and the hashtag. 3 examples. There are more, mind you. And these are the more recent ones in terms of contemporary times. But it's almost as good as saying both of those don't come from something older, such as, let's say the Seal of Melchizedek. There's no connection there. And if Google told you there was no connection there, people would repeat that. They would fucking repeat it, because that's exactly what I'm dealing with tonight. Which is insane. It's fucking insane. So I pulled this jazz out. Taught you guys about this. You hear about it all the fucking time. You're not supposed to understand it. And part of what we're talking about in terms of, the bullshit version, what these kids are reaffirming, is just the lower half of this. The other aspect to it that I was getting at is, once again, I only have one hand there right now. If you bring them all together, it's united in peace. This is another version of peace, is my point. And what these kids are talking about is a broken fucking model once again. Our masters are selling people broken clocks again and again and again. And part of the way they do these things in terms of hiding sigils in plain sight, they turn them 90 degrees. They'll truncate a leg. They'll pull off a leg, which I can't do right here. But think of what you probably, used to assume is peace. It's a great example. Because it's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes they'll turn them in such a way you won't be able to necessarily reason out what it is. Dimensionally speaking. And think about all the idiots who talk about 5D, but they don't understand anything. So they repeat, 5D, I'm entering into 5D. These are the same kids that would whine at me, and probably did whine at me tonight, but I could be wrong. Maybe those kids don't have a dog in that race. But that's the type of person they are, typically speaking. Pseudo-intellectuals, they don't look into things. They buy into things. They repeat superficial fucking messages. Blah, 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 blah. And I've already said, what the fuck do I know? A lot tonight. A lot. I've said it a lot over the last, I don't know if I was doing it the whole time. I wasn't doing it throughout the entire 10 years. Maybe half a decade or more. But then again, I'm like a time traveler. I don't recall, and that doesn't really matter. But if you guys hung out, I'll say that again, too. Thanks for hearing me out. Thanks for fucking hanging out. Look into these things. Consider what I said. I mean, this makes sense if you think about it. This is a division of the two. It's quite literally 2. And when you unite them, this looks like 1. Which do you think would represent fucking peace? Best of all, I didn't discuss this with these idiots in here. In Instagram, LifeLog 2.0. I don't know. Should I even get into it? If you look up I did mention it earlier in the video, though. I said saints, I think, is the reference I used. George Washington striking this pose. You got that pedophile Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks throws this jazz in the movie Forrest Gump, and he does as above, so below. Because our masters understand this does represent peace, above and below. And technically it should be done with a right and a left hand, in accord with, Jewish, Leonard Cohen. It goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift. And when we're talking about that, we're not talking about this. If you apply what I just said in terms of peace and how things work with the left hand and the right hand path, and you throw this, it should feel disharmonious, I imagine. You should have a knee-jerk reaction because this just doesn't feel right. But again, what the fuck do I know? Look up some of the old images of saints and things along those lines. Holy people. And you'll see quite a few of them fucking doing this. You do not see them saying, peace!